Hi there BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm doing a recent reads and receipts. This is where I talk about some of the books that I've read recently and then show you some of the books that I have received recently. So I'm going to start with the books that I've read, and all three of these books I'm talking about were on my TBR for this month, which I entitled the mid-year book freakout tag sort of chooses my TBR, and I took different people from BookTube's favourite books of the year so far and then decided that if they were on my shelf I was going to have them on my TBR for this month, in the hope that I could find some more 5-star reads, because if people that I watch and that I generally have quite similar taste to like them, surely I'm going to like them. So anyway, I've now read the first three, so let's look at those. The first one I want to talk about is Wild Blue Wonder by Carly Sorosiak, and this was on one of the Owl Crate ladies' top of the year, and I was really intrigued by the idea behind this one. It's set in a small town where our young protagonist Quinn lives, and her family own a summer camp. So in the summer they run the camp, her and her two siblings and her family, her mum, her dad and her grandma, they all live together and they run this summer camp, and it's really looking into the loss of somebody from this camp and how it has affected them. So we start in the present day, but we then look back on the past year and the relationship that these siblings had with this person and how that's affected them now, and we're looking at grief and family. There's some mystical elements in there and a little, it's not necessarily sort of magical realism, but it's sort of hinted at. I suppose there is sort of a very mild magical realism aspect in there. Things like there's unexplainable things that certain bushes grow all year round when they shouldn't because of the weather. I think this is set in Maine. Yeah, in Winship in Maine, and I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a really interesting story. It was a really interesting look into sibling relationships, and I really enjoyed it, but it wasn't a 5-star for me, unfortunately. It was a really solid 4-star, so it's definitely one that I would recommend, but it isn't one that I would necessarily shout about to everyone. So if you fancy the idea of a story, and part of it is set during the time that summer camp is on, because we're flitting back to the previous summer when summer camp was running, and you like the idea of sort of looking at family and sisters and brothers and sibling relationships, there's very present family here, and yeah, if you're interested in that, then I definitely recommend this as a read. There is some diversity in there. Our main character Quinn's brother Reed is gay, and so we've got a little bit of diversity in there also, which is nice. We also have a Greek side character who is, I was interested in that side, and again with him we look at the sort of absence of parents and how sometimes parents aren't always present in terms of you know, having children isn't all that maybe they expected it would be, and how that affects the child who didn't ask to be brought into the world, and how the choices that they make can affect someone as well. So I enjoyed that side of it too. It was a really good read, but yeah, not quite a 5-star from me. The next one that I picked up is one that I've heard nothing but good things about, and that is Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. The premise of this sounded brilliant. It's the story of a young girl, Grace. She is 16 and pregnant. She decides to give up her baby for adoption. She makes the choice, very considered with her family. She picks the family that the child is going to, and then because of this she has actually adopted herself. She's always known that she's adopted, but she decides that she wants to find her birth mother. And through this process she realises that she has siblings. She has a brother and a sister, and so she goes and she finds them, and we then follow in sort of 3 points of view perspective here, how this brother and sister have fared, what their lives have been like. One was adopted, the other went through the foster care system. We look at their ideas of what of like motherhood and whether they want to find their birth mother. We also find out about what's going on in their lives and things that have happened to them and how being adopted has affected that. One of the girls in here is in a family where all of them are redheads and she looks completely different to everyone else, and how that can affect you, whether your family, you know, your family don't make you feel like that on purpose, but it just is a fact, and how that can change how you see yourself. And there were so many good talking points in here, so many good themes, and yeah, I really enjoyed the themes that were brought up, and I thought they were very nicely tackled and handled, and I did really enjoy it. It was definitely a page turner, but again, it just didn't have that emotional punch for me for some reason. Maybe I'm dead inside, I don't know. So it was a 4-star, not a 5-star. So 2 4 stars so far. Still good, still pleased I read them, but still not that elusive 5-star. The third book that I have just finished is Margo Gosh by Joey Camo, I think it's right, and this is a really small book. If you see it next to a regular paperback, it's quite a sort of short book, and it's very thin. It's about 170 odd pages, and this was recommended, or it was on the list of favourite books with Women vs Books, and she said she just really enjoyed this one, and it's got great ratings on Goodreads. It's quite a quiet story. It's about Sunday, and we're never really told how old she is, but I get the feeling that she's relatively young, maybe a teenager. I could be totally wrong. And she has a very young brother called Simon, and her father is dying of cancer, and he's decided to stop chemotherapy treatment and is just saying his goodbyes to everyone, and they are spending a lot of time together as a family, and it's looking at Sunday and how she is coping with what is happening and her choices. She's decided that she's going to record everything her father's said, and she's going to then put it and turn it into a computer virus, and then her father will sort of live eternally on and be everywhere on this computer virus. And I enjoyed that aspect of it. I enjoyed and I liked the idea behind this and what she was doing. I just felt like it was lacking something for me. It was lacking a bit more, like we go through the whole book and this build up to it, and then it just sort of is. It doesn't, and I don't know whether what the author's trying to make, the point they're trying to make is that it doesn't matter what you do, death is death, and you're still going to feel sad. And there was a slight sort of, not happy, because it's not happy, but there was quite a nice sort of ending to it, but I really felt like it missed something. It missed a trick, or it just missed something to make it a higher rating for me. So I enjoyed it, and it was a nice read. It was a quiet read, but I ended up giving it 3 stars because it's not one that I would necessarily recommend to everybody, and it was a bit of a gamble for me because I wasn't sure when I had the synopsis if it was gonna be for me, and I thought, well, it's a small book, I'll give it a go, and I'm really pleased I did. But yeah, not one for me in terms of love, and definitely not 5 stars, but a good 3-star read. So that is the books that I have read recently. I'm still on the hunt for the 5 stars. I will still continue with my TBR of people's favourite books of the year so far, so keep an eye out for my next video. But now let's talk about some of the books that I've received this month. This month in my Page Habit box I received a book called The Bird and the Blade by Megan Bannon. I hadn't heard of this book at all, so let's see, what does it say? As a slave in Kipchak Khanate, Jingua has lost everything: her home, her family, her freedom, until the kingdom is conquered by enemy forces and she finds herself an unlikely conspirator in the escape of Prince Caliph and his irascible father across the vast Mongol Empire. On the run with adversaries on all sides and an endless journey ahead, Jingua hatches a scheme to use the Kipchak's exile to return home, a plan that becomes increasingly fraught as her feelings for Caliph evolve into an impossible love. Jingua's already dicey prospects take a downward turn when Caliph seeks to restore his kingdom by forging a marriage alliance with Turandot, the daughter of the great Khan. As beautiful as she is cunning, Turandot requires all potential suitors to solve 3 impossible riddles to win her hand, and if they fail, they die. Jinguo has kept her own counsel well, but with Caliph's kingdom and his very life on the line, she must reconcile the hard truth of her past with her love for a boy who has no idea what she's capable of, even if it means losing him to the girl who'd sooner take his life than his heart. That sounds really good, so I'm really interested in this one. Next, I was very kindly sent this book by the publisher. It says perfect for fans of Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine, which I am a fan. And this is the 7 Imperfect Rules of Elvira Carr by Frances Maynard. It's about a 27-year-old neuroatypical Elvira Carr who's never lived alone. But her father, it says, who she suspects was a Secret Service, is dead, and her mother has a stroke and is taken into care, so suddenly she finds herself home alone. It says in order to cope, Elvira, who knows a lot about biscuits and floor coverings but not so much about life, develops a list of 7 rules for interacting with others. Not even her rules can help her, however, when she's faced with solving a mystery she didn't even know existed. I just think this sounds really, really good, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. The lovely Janet from Swirly Girly Reads treated me this month in our Bookopoly to 2 books, one of which I haven't got here to show you because I'm actually currently reading it, and that is called 13 by, I think it's Steve Kavanagh, but I put it up here. I have since found out that this is the 4th book in sort of this detectives, crime, courtroom, lawyer series, but this is the one that I'm interested in reading, and I think you can read them standalone. I saw this on Aoife from Fred Readlessly Died Laughing's channel, and she really loved it, and I love the premise. The premise is that there's this serial killer who manages to get themselves onto the jury of one of his own murders, and it's how the sort of lawyer starts to unravel and discover who he is, and so we sort of know who done it at the beginning, but it's more how the other person comes to realizing that. So I'm looking forward to that, and well, I'm not looking forward to it, I'm already 20 pages in, so I'm enjoying that. And then she also picked up this off my list, which I love the sound of, and it's The Glass Town Game by Catherine M. Valente. Believe it or not, I have yet to read anything by Catherine M. Valente. I know she wrote the Fairyland books, but I haven't read any of her books yet, and this just sounds brilliant. It says, inside a small Yorkshire parsonage, Charlotte Bramwell, Emily and Anne Bronte have invented a game called Class Town, where their toy soldiers fight Napoleon and no one dies. This make-believe land helps them escape from a harsh reality. Charlotte and Emily are being sent away to a dangerous boarding school. But then something incredible happens. A train whisks them all away to the real Glass Town, and the children trade the moors for a wonderland of their own. This is the Glass Town, almost. Their Napoleon never rode into battle on a fire-breathing porcelain rooster, and the soldiers can die. Wars are fought over a potion that raises the dead, a potion Anne would like to bring back to England, but returning is out of the question. Charlotte will never go back to that horrible school. As the older girls find a home in Glass Town, Anne and Bramwell are captured by Napoleon's henchmen. It's up to Charlotte and Emily to rescue their siblings, but can 2 English girls stand against Napoleon's armies? And if he escapes Glass Town, will England be safe? Together, the Bronte siblings must battle their own imaginations in this magical celebration of authorship and creativity. So I'm really excited. This sounds really unusual and a bit left field for me, so I can't wait to see what I think. And then I went to a publishing event this weekend at Galantis, and I picked up some books, and I'm very excited about them. The first book that I picked up there is Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruccio. This sounds brilliant, and it was sort of described as a epic fantasy science fiction, which sounds really good, and we're sort of starting from the end apparently, and we're finding out that this particular main character has killed the son, and we're finding out how that's all happened. There's all sorts of epic things going on. It says, Hadrian Marlowe, a man revered as a hero and despised as a murderer, chronicles his tale in the galaxy-spanning debut of the Sun Eater series, merging the best of space opera and epic fantasy. It was not his war. On the wrong planet at the right time for the best reasons, Hadrian Marlowe started down a path that could only end in fire. The galaxy remembers him as a hero, the man who burned every last seal sin from the sky. They remember him as a monster, the devil who destroyed a sun, casually annihilating 4 billion human lives, even the emperor himself, against imperial orders. But Hadrian was not a hero, he was not a monster, he was not even a soldier. Fleeing his father and a future as a torturer, Hadrian finds himself stranded on a strange backwater world. Forced to fight as a gladiator and navigate the intrigues of a foreign planetary court, he will end up fighting a war he did not start, for an empire he does not love, against an enemy he will never understand. That synopsis just makes me want to do that. I just think it sounds brilliant, so I'm very much looking forward to this one. And the final one that I was very lucky to have picked up doesn't come out till April next year. And that is, you can see it here, but you can't really see it. It's called Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams. We met Candice and she was really interesting, and I loved hearing her talk. This is about a woman called Queenie. It says here she's a journalist, catastrophist, expressive, aggressive, funny, dramatic, loved, lonely and enough. And it's looking at her life really, and she's apparently very funny. The voice in this is apparently hilarious, and it's looking at her sort of dating life and her relationship with her mother, which I believe is sort of the main crux and of the book. But it sounds like a really great contemporary, and Jojo Moyes has blurbed the back. Even in 500 words, I knew there was something special. Candice has produced something fresh and honest and set in a world that I want to know more of. Our main character in this is a successful black woman, and I think it's just going to be a real refreshing and interesting read. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I may hold off and read it nearer the time because it is nearly a year till it comes out, or I may just gobble it up soon and share it with everyone that I can. I don't know, we shall see. But those are the books that I have read and received recently. Have you read any of these as well? What were your thoughts on them? Let's chat as always in the comments down below, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, BookTube.